power from the fire? We have a fire here. Can you separate the burning power from that fire? So divine love, the burning power of the fire of God's consciousness and His omnipresence. It's the power of God's consciousness. There's only one consciousness, and that's God Himself. So if we feel God in all, by understanding and realizing the burning power of God's consciousness within you, then you can give it to others, and you can be a friend to man, whomever you meet. And you do not have to feel that you must take on all individuals in that definite way. It's impossible. But this way you do a better job for them, because you stimulate within them, because God is flowing through you. You stimulate within them the ability to help themselves feel the presence of God in themselves. I have a reference here from Master's work, one of his writings. The Master said, someone was complaining to the Master why the Lord gives us families if He doesn't want us to love them more than we love other people. Well, that's a good question. The family tie is very strong. But the thing is, if you feel the presence of God in your family, you'll be able to love them better, and there'll be no restrictions, no limitations. And the love will be greater, and it will develop and change into divine love. You're not going to lose anything. You're not going to lose that daughter or son which you love so much, or that husband or wife. You will not lose them. You will gain them more, because you will feel God in them. So he goes on and says, by placing us in families, God affords us an opportunity to overcome selfishness and to find it easy to think of others. It's very difficult to think of others when you have a son you're attached to, or a daughter. It's very difficult. Break the attachment, and you will think of others and more of your son or daughter. So finally, Master says, in friendships, he offers us a way to broaden further our sympathies. Even that is not the end, and the end is God alone. God alone. We must love God for Himself alone, not for what He can give us. Although we do utilize that aspect of love, we must love God alone. God alone for Himself alone. So, Master says, we should continue to expand our love until it becomes divine, encompassing all beings everywhere. Otherwise, how may we achieve oneness with God, the Father of all? Thou shalt have no other gods besides me. You might say, thou shalt have no other friends but me, because I am in all friends. These are the lessons we must learn from this subject this morning. Now, a few rules given by our Master to preserve friendship. And these rules are simple, but if you obey them, you'll find that the relationship with friends is much better. The first and general rule is this, that when friendship is not based on the underlying divine love, then it is blind and leads to conditions and restrictions, and even when that friendship which your friend has is thwarted, then it may lead to blind hate. I have seen that many times. Why? Because it was not based on unconditional divine love. That's the first and greatest rule. If it's not based on that, unconditional love, then you may run into trouble. And even sometimes those so-called friends will turn and blind hate will come. It is so without question of a doubt. Now the other rules the Master gives are these. Do not be sarcastic to a friend. Familiarity breeds contempt, and sometimes when the friend becomes quite close to you, you may be sarcastic. But if you feel God in that friend, you will not be. So that's the first rule the Master gives. Do not be sarcastic to friends. Do not flatter them, unless it is to encourage them. Do not placate the friends, unless perhaps it is to encourage them. It is very dangerous. The third one is, do not agree when they're wrong. That's a hard one. Do not agree when they're wrong. Say, no, sir. That is not right. I tell you because, or I feel that because I love you so much. Do not flatter them that way. Do not agree when they are wrong. Do not be indifferent to the indulgences and harmful pleasures. That is, do not overlook them. That's a sin. Do not be so that you cannot point out the things you know are wrong. They will be all right, but if you allow it to go on, then it becomes more difficult for them. So do not do those things of which the Master speaks. This one here now is really, we must remember it. If advice is asked, give it gently with love. The best way is make them ask, Master told me, make them ask you twice before you give them the advice. Because no one likes to be corrected. Even from a friend, it hurts a little bit sometimes. People say to me, now I want you to discipline me. Yes, I will. I want you to do anything you say. Yes, I'll do it. And then when I tell them, they get mad sometimes. So I remember Master's sayings, and I try to, when I'm sure that they want me to help them, just because perhaps I've had a little more experience, I don't know why, but I do know, above all, I want to preserve that relationship in God between each one who comes to me, because that's of God. And I'm not going to blindly dive into that situation. But when I'm sure, because it's difficult to discipline others, we know we all need it ourselves. But to help them, under certain conditions, we can do it. Fools argue, friends discuss. Sometimes I hear it going on in good shape. It's not discussion, it's arguing. So these are the rules the Master gives us. Now, true friendship consists in being mutually useful. Mutually useful. That's an important point. Sometimes